Peerally. Assalamu alaikum, Sastika, and namaskar to all the listeners. Of course, this is Happy New Year, first of all. I think it's the first show of the year. Not I think, it is the first show of the year. And also, we're going to discuss, of course, about immigration law. I hope you had a great New Year parties, etc. Well, now we're back on working time. So we wish you all a Happy New Year. Now, and today I have Vedika with me. Happy New Year to Radio Zindagi, Vedika, and all the people. Niraj, Seba, everybody. Just wanted to say special thanks to them for always making things easy for us, and that's really important for me, especially with my kind of busy schedule. So I really appreciate that they helped me so much, and we will continue. And this year is going to be our 10th year anniversary of the show. Actually, I started the show in January 2010, and January, I think 2010, but after that, it was not my show, but then the show really started in July 5th. It was on Independence Day, 2010. I think we started, yes. So I wanted to say thank you to all the listeners for being faithful listeners. And today, of course, we will be opening the lines. The lines are open 510-657-1170. 510-657-1170. Anything you want to discuss, please feel free. And there are many things I'm going to talk about, but that doesn't mean if you have, for example, an H-1B questions, an L-1 questions, I-140, labor certification, national trust waiver, EB-1, family petition, adjustment of status, feel free to call. And again, anything I'm going to tell you today is my opinion. You should not act or refrain to act solely on the information provided. You should contact an attorney if you have any questions. The number to our office, 510-742-5887. The website is attorneyonair.com, attorneyonair.com. And just to let you know, we have a YouTube channel where I upload many things, so please subscribe to it, because now it's becoming easier to just make a YouTube rather than writing an article on anything important that I feel, or sometimes I miss some because I got busy, but I try my best to every week to upload at least 1 or 2 videos on different topics, and it's youtube.com/Shah Peerally Law. Shah Peerally Law, SHAHPEERALLYLAW. Actually, I have 2 of them, but use this one, the updated one, Shah Peerally Law. That one has all the updated information. So just to let you know about all this information are available, but at the same time, many things that you see online, you should not really kind of trust them, because sometimes people told me that, hey, I saw this online, how come I'm not talking about that? It's because I know some of them I don't know about, because I don't know it all, but some of them, they are just not important because they are just people's opinions, and people are looking at things from an angle of their issues, and they see problems when there are no problems, and they don't see problems when there are problems. That's a big thing that we are seeing now. Since it is a new year, we are going to kind of go over, I'm going to talk a little bit about the visa bulletin and what we can expect from this year, because it's obvious the visa bulletin for February is going to come out soon. But what do we expect? Because that's what is bothering a lot of people, the waiting time. Well, first of all, a lot of people ask me the question, what do you think will happen with this new the bill that was passed with the House but didn't go up to the Senate, or the Senate didn't accept it? What will happen to that? I don't think a lot of things will happen, unfortunately. I pray it does happen, but it's not going to happen, because a lot of things to happen this year. For one, we're going to have the election year. This is not going to be it is going to be a tough fight. So perfect, Vedika, you can hear me properly. I really appreciate that for letting me know. So again, this is Attorney Shah Peerally, and today is January 2nd, 2020. Wow, time is flying really, really fast, and we are in 2020. And I wanted to mention one thing, special thoughts for a lot of people who are suffering right now around the world. For one, with climate change, I was mentioning that. Some people don't believe in that, but I do. And Australia is really getting hit hard, so my heart goes to all the people there. It's fire all over the place. And being from the southern hemisphere myself, I know how hard it is when the heat really catches up to you. Australia, a beautiful place, but unfortunately it's really kind of in ruins right now with all those fires. So special thoughts to them, and of course all to all those countries where there are wars and everybody's suffering. And someone told me yesterday that we are seeing a lot of rise of fascism, and that's one thing which is going to be to watch for this year. This is going to really make a big difference what we are going to see in the next few years. And for one, also I was reading an article on CNN where they were mentioning this year is the first time that the U.S. population is stabilized, almost going down, because immigration was cut down and birth rate has gone down. And that's also is something that is new to U.S. because when I came to America a long time ago, I think the population was 298 million. Now it's reaching almost 400 million, which is really 102 million within a few decades. So it's a lot for a country, and to absorb it, especially California absorbed most of the people, and that's why you're seeing a lot of pressure on the state. But at the same time, it makes the state very competitive and very powerful. But it needs to supply a lot of things to the people, including the water, including a lot of things. I'm mentioning all this because these are all related to the policies that are going to guide immigration in the coming years. And the visa bulletin now, if you look at it for January 2020, EB1 India, and I'm talking here final action dates, which is the first chart, we are seeing January 2015, which is not too bad, by the way, and because if you look at it from a perspective of the number of applications, we're still good compared to EB2 and EB3. EB2 moving very, very slowly, barely moving, I should say, is going to May 2009, and EB3 is stuck now on January 2009. And EB3, a lot of people jump to EB3, and now some are regretting it, but you can always see if you can go back to EB2 if possible. But if you file the I-140 on EB2, to go to EB3 requires a lot of work. So, but the other way around is a little bit easier. That's one thing a lot of people have been doing. So again, ladies and gentlemen, this is Attorney Shah Peerally, and we are live today. We are January 2nd, 2020, and you can call for any questions on immigration. Even I'm talking about the visa bulletin. I'm going to try to make some predictions today, but if you want to call for anything, you can call 510-657-1170. 510-657-1170. This is the number to the studio. And of course, if you want a consultation, the number is 510-742-5887. And now also I'm getting texts from some friends from overseas. I say special hi to people in India, Pakistan, and all those countries that regularly listen to me. I know in the Middle East people also listen, and some people also in Africa and Europe. I don't know. I remember there were a few of them back in the days. I don't know if they're still there, but I just wanted to say special hi to them and Happy New Year to them. So today we are talking a little bit about what we are going to expect this year. For one, let's start with the visa bulletin. Right now, if you look at the visa bulletin, it's 2015 on final action. However, on the filing, which is of chart B, we are seeing March 2017. What it means is that if you're an EB1 and then we have a third thing that happens. USCIS has to accept which chart they're going to use. When Trump took power, they have changed they were using only the first chart. Now lately they have amended that, and we are seeing a move on that part. And that's really something interesting, because if we are able to get this, it's going to if they continue using that, we still have a good chance, although it's not great either. But still for EB1, it's still good because if you have a previous priority date, for example, we can merge it. For example, let's say you have an EB2 priority date, we can merge it and file your adjustment of status, which ultimately gives you what we call an EAD, an advanced parole, etc., and get your green card faster. And the good news with the EB1 is that if you get an EB1A, you are not dependent on an employer. Same for national interest waiver. But of course, most people use EB1C, which is a dependent. These are for managers and executives, and they have to be dependent on the company. So be careful on that. So now we are seeing those very slow movement on EB2. A lot of people ask me, what do I expect for EB2 this year? I expect, this is what I see, and I said this before, I think we're going to reach probably by October, we'll reach first month of January 2010. I'm saying probably because I might be completely wrong. We might even see a retrogression, but I don't see a retrogression right now because it seems like also the number of applications have toned down. So because of that, you're going to see probably a movement this year by January 2000. I think it will bring it to January 2010. I'm talking about chart A, which is the final action date here, not really the second chart, because that's really, I don't know how they calculate that. So this is my guess. EB2 I think will move. EB3 will stay stagnant, might even retrogress. That's what I see, and I think there is a chance that EB3 might go backward, because what has happened, a lot of people, when they saw EB3 moving, they jumped onto it, and that will put a load on the EB3. Having said that, a lot of people also kept their EB2 while joining the EB3. So that also will put pressure on both sides. So only hope we can have is that they kind of recalculate and put everything in the basket on the new fiscal year, and October 1st, 2020 will be the decision. But at the same time, remember, this is an election year. A lot of things are not going to be the way you expect it to be. Now, going outside the visa bulletin, this is kind of my predictions for, and I'm not talking about family petitions because I don't really calculate that. So I hope it will move for family too. But I think the EB2, EB3 for India, watch it out. As for people born in other countries or their spouse born in other countries, this problem is not really going to be there. Although EB1, we're seeing still a backlog on many countries. It's not current, by the way. If you look at it, it's July 2018 for EB1, while EB2 and EB3 are current. The reason for that is that I can see that a lot of my clients, for example, on EB1 are also not from India. We're having a lot of people from other countries because they see it as a way to really get in the country without having to go through all the process of H-1B, etc., etc. So all those stuff you will determine what is the future. So, Vedika, I don't know if you have any callers, but feel free if you have any questions on immigration. The number is 510-657-1170. 510-657-1170. I'm pretty sure everybody is going for longer vacations, so bear with us. So this gives me time to talk about a lot of things, and I'm talking about what we can expect for this year. Well, we're also expecting for this year H-1B changes, right? For one, we know now H-1B will be a different ball game, and we will have a system for new H-1B cap where there will be a pre-selection, and based on that pre-selection, then there will be then it's going to start around March. That will be electronic pre-selection. Once you qualify, then you will be able to file your H-1B any time of the year. You don't have to rush in 1 week, get it out like we used to. That gives us time. We can file it all over the year. And the advantage also of that is one thing interesting. Let's say you get selected, right? And you know how a lot of people have situations where they have to wait for the end client. And the end client letter, for example, for consulting companies, is not going to be given 6 months in advance. Then what we can do, we can get the letter around September or something, and then get the case file. Because you're already selected, so you don't lose your position, and you go ahead, and unless they put a limitation, they have not mentioned that, but if they don't, then we can file it not last minute, but close to the start date of October 1st, and then that gives an advantage to a lot of candidates which would not have gotten a job, an offer that early from their employer, etc. Because oftentimes most companies, they cannot really give you an offer 6 months in advance, because sometimes, this is a very fluid market, and a market which is really kind of fast paced. So getting a letter in advance to file a case is almost it's very difficult, to be honest, because they don't know what will happen. But that will ease that situation for them. So I repeat that if you're a company now, once the system is implemented and you make it to that, you are going to be set in a way. So it's not really what needs to be done. So ultimately, all these things are going to happen. I think we have one caller. Let me take the caller. Vidika, this is Shah Peerally. You're 11 here. Hello.
Hi. My name is Vandan. Actually, I have a question for my wife.
Yes.
She was on H4, and she had EAD, so she was working on H4 EAD. And luckily, her H1B was approved this year. But she still has a couple of years left on her EAD. So is there any provision, like we can file any form and put a freeze on it, and then later on, if she has to switch the status and go back to H4, then she can use that to work, considering that H4 EAD is probably going to go away this year?
Yeah. Well, the best way to do that, I'll tell you, this is a good question. Okay, so basically you have it, and she already did a change of status to H1, right? So it got approved, right?
So starting
okay. So
October
one of the
2019.
one of the ways, how many months she worked on the H1?
Sorry?
How many months she already worked on the H1?
So October, November, December.
Okay. One of the ways to enjoy that rest of the EAD is to just travel outside, come back on H4, and continue working on H4 EAD. Then the H1 will be there, but to revive the H1, then she can do the same later. But you will not be able to freeze the EAD time. The H1B time, you can freeze it, not the EAD. So it's the other way around. So usually what I tell people, if you really want to enjoy the full EAD, just go ahead, travel outside, come back on H4, work on the EAD, because that will continue the EAD, because the H4 will be applicable. Then whenever they want to go back to H1, they have two choices. Either they file a change of status to H1. If the H1 has been cancelled, not change of status, an extension of status, if the H1 has been cancelled by the company. If not, then they can just go outside, get a stamp, and then come back on H1, then the H1 will be activated again. So that's the only option you can do.
If we leave the country right now, doesn't she has to get a stamp for H1B, even though her H4 is valid?
No, she doesn't have, because if she's going on H4, she needs a stamp of H4. She's coming back on H4. If she comes back on H1, yes. Then let's say she moves to H4 and then she wants to move back to H1, then yes, she needs to go and get an H1 stamp. So whichever visa she wants to come on, she needs to have a stamp for that.
Oh, I see. So she already has a stamp for valid H4. So she can just give that I-797 approval and show that passport, and that should be all okay. She doesn't need to say anything about her H1B?
No, she doesn't have to. If they ask her the question, she can just say she wants to move to H4 and H4 EAD right now. There's nothing wrong. But that's the only way to do it, to use that maximum. Because that what it also does, it also locks the time of the H1. Because she just got it, if she continues on that. Because if she leaves and come back on H4, what will happen, it will stop the clock on the H1. And then when she needs to go back on H1, well, let's say she used only 3 months, she will be left with 5 months and 5 years and 9 months or something, right? So it's a way to preserve the H1. The H4, unfortunately, the EAD will stop on the time it's given there. So that's what most people do. Now, if you don't want to, if you want to avoid any issues, then just go ahead on your H1. And then make sure that as soon as possible they file for her I-140 somehow, so that she can continue basically enjoy the H1 after the 6 years. Because preserving the H1 is good to an advantage of basically kind of if you have limitation of 6 years, but if you have an I-140, this limitation is out. Plus also the advantage of going on H4 is that you're not subject to all those limitations of H1. So it both has advantage and disadvantage depending on the situation. If you want me to kind of analyze a specific company, you can give me a call and we can do a consultation. Okay?
Sure. Okay. Thank you so much.
Good luck to you. I hope I was clear on that. It's confusing a little bit sometimes because when you leave the country, you come back, you activate the I-94 for that visa that you have and you want to use, and that's the way it works. And it's a little bit tricky because you have to understand the concept of visa and I-94, which is a different issue. So we'll talk about that probably in another show, maybe later on. Feel free to call. This was a very good question. 510-657-1170. Just to let people know, we're still filing a lot of H4 EADs, so just don't give up on the H4 EAD. They have not really said anything. We will know probably this year, but every year I say that. It's been 3 years they've been playing that game, so at least it's a good game for us. But I know also for a fact that a lot of people who have it will be able to keep it probably. Not for a fact, but there's a big chance. And they will be able to keep it until it expires. Like for the caller, if they have it for 3 years, she'll probably be able to keep it. I apologize, sorry. I had one minute of cut off. So I just wanted to let you know this is Attorney Shah Peerally. We are live on air today on Radio Zindagi. And I have with me Vedika, and we are discussing about what can basically some kind of, I should not say predictions, but what we're expecting this year on immigration. I talk a little bit about the visa bulletin, and if you missed it, I will upload that on the YouTube channel soon. And I think what I was mentioning is that I think EB3 probably will get stagnant or go backward. EB2 might move by October 1st, going to around January 2010, and if there's no retrogression, of course, but I don't see a retrogression coming soon. However, there will be no fantasy jump, unfortunately, and we might not even see any jump at all if it continues this way. But one thing we can see, it won't go that far, like 2012, 2011, that I don't expect it soon. Probably in 2-3 years we're going to see some great move because the amount of applications have really kind of gone down. So basically, ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about what might happen this year. This year is going to be really interesting, and unfortunately I don't see great news because there are many things that are happening. For one, Trump elections, we're going to have the elections, the presidential elections. The fact that we didn't see anything moving after the impeachment means that he's pretty strong, and he's going to. There's a big chance he will win again. Many will be happy, of course, and many, of course, will be sad. Immigration-wise, is going to be tough. We are going to see more and more difficult laws being enacted, and then plus a lot of those federal judges are going to change, and they were pretty pro-immigration, and if they change, we are going to see some major change in the whole dynamic of immigration in the United States, and that's not going to be really helpful for the immigrant community. But at the same time, a lot of people who are here, they believe that this is good, but just like I was mentioning earlier, I read an article that this year, because immigration went down and because birth rate went down, is the first time America is kind of a stagnant population or even going down population. So it's a lot of things are happening, and this is going to also be relating to what's happening in the world. A lot of unrest in the East, a lot of things going on in the West. Even Europe is with Brexit now. We're going to see big changes. We might see an influx of immigrants from Europe now coming to the U.S., which will ultimately affect their decisions on other immigrants coming from other parts of the world, because usually immigrants from the West it makes very low proportion compared to immigrants from the East, including China, India, and other countries in the East. So it's going to be a different balance, and I'm already seeing that, because many of my cases now are coming from Europe, and it seems like, especially from England, a lot of people want to leave. They don't want to stay there, and those people have been there for years and were even born there. So we are going to see some major changes. Having said that, now we are going to see very drastic rules being passed. For one, I think they're getting more and more strict. Like one thing I've noticed, a lot of companies who use in-house projects, because let me talk about that, by the way. In-house projects is becoming a major problem. Vedika, can you hear me properly? I don't know if the sound is good, so please let me know. So feel free to call if you have any questions. 510-657-1170. 510-657-1170. And if you want a private consultation, 510-742-5887. The number to the studio today is 510-657-1170. So we will be taking calls as we go, but let us talk a little bit about in-house projects. You will see a lot of people when they work for consulting companies, when they file their H-1Bs, they will opt for what we call an in-house project. And that's been something we have discouraged, unless the in-house project is a very strong project and very genuine, etc. People will put their cases on a weak in-house project. They will get an H-1B approved, even if it got approved like 2-3 years. Now, it has reached, and that was maybe around 2015 or 2016. What happened now, when they try, and then after that, 2-3 months later, they file for an amendment. They send their candidate to another end client, as we call it. And what happens there is, when this kind of situation happens, USCIS see it as a red flag. Then what they do, when you file a new extension or a transfer, they go back in time, and make no mistake, they are doing it in many cases. They go back in time and check the H-1B from day one when it was issued. And what it does, it actually kind of creates a situation where you see ultimately that, hey, there was no in-house project, or the in-house project people cannot prove it. I mean, the company cannot prove it. Then they go back and they really they will send you a notice of intent to revoke, and they will take away your H-1B if you're not able to explain. And what it means that they uproot the H-1B from the source if they win, because what happens is that they're basically saying, you don't have an H-1B. You never had an H-1B because we were not supposed to give it to you. You lied to us. Then they go after the company, go after the candidate, etc. So be very careful now on those. If you have those kind of problems, give me a call. We can do a consultation. 510-742-5887. I think we have one caller. Right? Yeah, this is Shah. Hello.
Hi, Mr. Shah. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, my friend.
Hi, I have a quick question about H4 EAD extension filing. So I have already an approved I-140, and I've been on that approved I-140 from last 1 year. I have a new job that I want to change to, and my current employer will withdraw my current I-140, which is approved. He'll withdraw it. So my question is, can I still use the withdrawn I-140 for H4 EAD extension?
Okay. This is a very good question. Number one, how long you had the I-140?
It's been approved from last 1 year.
1 year, okay. First of all, he cannot withdraw it. He can withdraw it for his own purpose. That means he doesn't have to give you a green card with it. But the effect of it, he cannot, because there's a new, not new now, it's been 2 years. When Obama, before he left, he passed a rule, an administrative rule, which means the employer, after 6 months, cannot withdraw the I-140, the effect of the I-140. That means you can still use it for an H-1 extension, and you can still use it for H-4 extension. How many years is also your H-1B right now?
I'm currently in my 7th year.
7th year.
So I need to renew it next year.
Yeah. Let's say also that, let's say for, God forbid, for whatever reason, in a hypothetical situation, your I-140 was withdrawn. You still can file for H-4EAD for your wife based on your 7th year extension. So if you look at the rule of the H-4EAD, you can either or. If you have already reached 7 years and you have a valid H-1B and you're filing an H-4EAD for your wife, you're eligible for it even without the I-140 because you already got an extension of 7 years. However, in your case, this should not even be a problem because he cannot really take the I-140 from you. You can still use it for the priority date. You can still use it for H-4EAD. You can still use it for H-1 extensions. But just to make sure that your lawyer, when they file any H-1 extension, etc., mentions this law, it was passed in January 17, 2017. Just remember, 1717. Okay, and it was under a executive order from Obama, which is great. It protected a lot of people. This is the same bill, I should say, not a bill, but same law that also gives people who get terminated a 60 days grace period. Okay.
Okay, and the follow-up question to that is, since my H1 is going to be extended January 2021, and my employer is not ready to file the H4 EAD extension also along with my H1 extension. So can I go ahead and file H4 EAD extension when my employer files my H1 extension? Or do I have to wait for the approval for H1 extension and then file H4 EAD extension?
No, you don't have to wait for the approval. What you do, as soon as you get the receipt, you file it. You file the H4 and H4 EAD. And if you need help on that, we can help you. You don't have to worry.
Okay, perfect.
You can just give us a call. We can handle it for you from there. Okay? I do a lot of those because a lot of companies, they don't want to file it or they just give a hard time, etc.
I used your firm for filing the H4 EAD for the first time. So extension is about to happen, so I was just wondering if that's an option.
You come back then. Where are you going?
Yeah, sure.
Come back, okay?
Sure.
You know, you have a number and email and everything. Thank you so much for calling. Okay? Take care. So this is interesting, you see. I know, for those who don't know, I fought for the H4 since 2011. And a lot of people were telling me it's impossible. There's no way they're going to change that rule. But things do change. And that was a good times under Obama. We could really kind of fight things for justice, right? You could petition them. You could talk to them. You could even chastise them when you had to, because we had a government that will listen, right? But now things are different. They still listen if you deal with the right department, but now things have changed a little bit, not a little bit, a lot, that now they're more inclined to deny a case than approve it. So you have to be careful. Cases that I used to tell people, don't worry, you don't need a lawyer. Now I think you need a lawyer because, I mean, not every lawyer, because now I also see a lot of people who are just taking money. They have no clue what they're doing. Even experienced lawyers are getting denial. So imagine someone who's not experienced doing something. You're going to be in trouble. And I'm seeing it a lot on H-1Bs. I had to do RFEs on many H-1Bs. They come to us after the fact. And some of them we can't even win because there's no way to fix all the mistakes that was done at the original filing. Now in H-1B, if you look at the case itself, it's like sending a box to them. It's not even like before where you will send like maybe 20 pages, 30 pages, or even 50 pages. Now it's like sending like 300 pages just to do one H-1B. And if you send an H-1B that doesn't make sense, you're bound to get a denial because they are really kind of reviewing all those cases really with a fine comb. So I highly recommend that you actually get a lawyer to help. And Vedika is telling me that I have another maybe 10-11 minutes to go, so I'm going to go ahead and close basically in terms of talking about what I was saying. This year, yes, we're going to see changes in H-1B. I'm hoping that there will be no major changes on EB-1 because a lot of people are depending on that. And also we're going to see a lot of changes on family petitions because now if they get their way that the federal judges are changed, we're going to see major setbacks for us. Now, of course, if the elections turns out to be the Democrats' favor, things are going to get better. But most people are saying it's not even possible. I think there's a big chance. And I said that even before, long time ago, before Trump came to power, I said he was going to win. And unfortunately, I think he's going to win again, and that's going to be Well, good for many and bad for many also. So let's put it this way, and let's see. For U.S. citizens and people, green card holders here, life is going to be okay. Not great, but still okay. But for immigrants, life is going to be very tough. And in fact, many people are actually kind of opting for Canada now. But you should not give up on the U.S. because this is where everything is going on, so don't let go. And if you need our help, we are here, 510-742-5887. Now, let me kind of change topic because this is going to be related to immigration a little bit in terms of debt settlement. A lot of people, what's happening because they are seeing things getting tough, although they have jobs, although they're losing their jobs, but they're not making that kind of money. Many of them are leaving, or many of them are seeing themselves into so much debts because they took credit cards, they overused them. It's normal. It's human nature. We use things. But having said that, when it's time to repay, it becomes very difficult because we just keep swiping the card, and I do that just like everybody else, but I try my best to control it. But sometimes I see something nice, I just want it, and I just want to buy it. But then you see yourself suddenly when you add it up with huge bills. And this is where we can help you if you're not able to pay for those, or you are facing some kind of difficulties or hardship. We can go ahead and basically kind of get rid of many of those debts. We are not protecting your credit here. All we are protecting is what you owe. But ultimately, if you pay the way we are going to plan it, you will ultimately get back your credit. But you have to first get rid of those debts, because a lot of people say, oh, if I do debt settlement, then my credit is going to be shot. Yes, it will, but if you continue not paying your debts or paying minimal, you're talking about sometimes 50 years, 60 years to pay debt. We can do that in many cases, including sometimes small loans, HELOC sometimes, if the house is usually going down, or because now it's stagnant, and at the same time some people have overpaid for their houses. So if there are two loans in there, we might be able to take care of the second loan. I say we might, because not all cases we can do, and we can do that in California only. And also credit cards, we can help you on that. Small businesses, a lot of people take small businesses or line of credit, and then the business flops and they can't repay. And this is where we can negotiate for you, and we might be able to get rid of the debts. But what we're talking about here in a debt settlement is not a debt consolidation. It's not a payment plan we're doing for you. We negotiate with them. We cut the debt to the lowest amount we have to, and then we keep negotiating, and then we just pay them one shot and get rid of it. And once you do that, then it will be a settlement. That means it's like a new contract, and once it's settled and you don't owe anything, then you can go ahead and rebuild your credit. So you have to actually kind of understand, and you can read a little bit about it on yourdebtsettlementattorney.com, yourdebtsettlementattorney.com. So it is important now that you know all this, because things are going to get tough this year. A lot of people are expecting some kind of quote-unquote recession coming, and I don't know if it is true, but I spoke to a lot of people in finance, and they are telling me that this can happen and this might happen. We are already seeing the house market slowing down, and we saw that in 2007, but I don't think it will be that bad like 2007. I hope not, because this is going to really freak out a lot of people, but it will go down because there's still demand, by the way, especially in the Bay Area, for buy houses. But if you go in certain places of California, the demand has started slowing down, and I think Bay Area is still okay. I don't know. I'll defer that to Amit and to all my friends. But I know for a fact houses are not selling like they used to. But now, are we going to get a crash? That's a different story. I know banks are starting to panic, and this is going to be really kind of the thing that is going to drive the whole thing. And I'm not an expert in finance, but we can help you negotiate with your creditors, with your debt collectors, etc., etc. So it is not impossible to get that deal. And we are getting ready for helping people. You can call us 510-742-5887. What it is like, for example, let's say you owe $100,000 on a line of equity and your business is down, etc., and the house value is not great. We might be able to negotiate that, reduce it, and you pay an amount and you get out of it. Because otherwise, what happens if you don't negotiate and fight it and you owe the money, they will have what we call they will sue you, and once they sue you, they win. What happens next, that they will start garnishing your paycheck, they will put lien on your property, levy your bank account, and so many people didn't even realize, hey, you owe somewhere, and they already won a lawsuit because they didn't even know there was a lawsuit, or they didn't show up when they got the paper, and they get what we call a judgment by default. And most of the time, that's what people get, what they get against you, because nobody will fight. They won't hire a lawyer to fight because it costs so much money. And then once they win that against you, you're pretty much set. They can really kind of put their hands in your pocket. So be ready for that, and if you need help, give us a call, 510-742-5887. And for debt settlement is a contingency, so whatever we can save you, this is where we take our cut. So it's a contingency. That means there's no fee until the work is done. However, for immigration is different. Okay, don't confuse the two. So I just wanted to let you know. So, ladies and gentlemen, now we are coming close to the end of the show. I think I don't know if Amit is already there, but I just wanted to recap. Earlier, I talked a little bit about visa built-in, what we are expecting this year for India. I don't see a great move unless maybe EB2 October will see a jump this year, hopefully, and it will bring it to first week or first month of January 2010, but there I think it's going to get stuck unless we see some kind of miracle. And then also we will see a lot of other things coming up. For example, we have issues of new laws that are going to be passed. H-1B is coming. If you're a company or you need help with H-1B, feel free to reach out today. And I think, so I still have some time. So you can still call 510-657-1157. 657-1170. 510-657-1170. And I think Pedika is telling me I think I have another 10 minutes, right? I don't know. Let me know, please, how much time we have, so I can continue and talk a little bit about more things that we can talk about. And one of the things, let me go back to a little bit of the debt settlement, because a lot of people kind of ask me the questions, what happens after a debt settlement? Well, after you debt settle, you paid, you pretty much go back on your track. Of course, you won't get a lot of credit immediately, but pretty soon most people are able to rebuild it. You have to get new credit cards, etc., and you can actually kind of rebuild those credit. And unfortunately, many people, what they will do, they will just ignore the debts and they will just move forward and then end up by getting sued, etc. So I recommend, if you need help on either immigration or that, give us a call, 510-742-5887. 510-742-5887. Let us talk a little bit about another thing that a lot of people have been asking me about is what happened now to family petitions of people who are doing interviews at the U.S. Embassy, because a lot of people, you are seeing suddenly a denial for whatever reason, and a lot of people are getting upset, but they don't understand. They think, okay, the lawyer messed up or someone messed up. No, it's not. It's just because now with the new rules, anything you file before, what will happen is that once the USCIS, Department of Homeland Security, clears half of it, the State Department will only do a part of it, and then they will approve the case. Now what is happening, they are reviewing the case from A to Z. So that means whatever has been reviewed by Department of Homeland Security is being re-reviewed by the State Department at the U.S. Embassy. So what it does is, like, for example, you have an H-1B has been approved, right? and you go and you think everything is proper, you go for vacation. Suddenly when you reach for the stamping, and many people this has been happening, even people who are filed under what we call the drop box, suddenly they convert the case into an interview, and then they put what we call a 221G on it. And I spoke about that, I think, last week. The 221G is an administrative processing where they're looking at your case. One of the reasons this is happening is now they have this maximum I don't know how to call it, but this extra security check where they even look at what we call your social network. And you will see now on the application they ask for all your social networks, for example, your Twitter, your Facebook. So you better watch out what you're writing there, because if something is, which is kind of unfair because that was not the rule in America. We are pretty free to say what we want, but if it seems to be a danger or a danger to national security, whatever you say can actually block you at the airport. I'm seeing even U.S. citizens getting stuck at the airport, although they are not denying them entry. They have this extended kind of security check on them, and then some of them, when you come at the airport here, you have a secondary inspection also. Secondary inspection is when they take you in the back and then they talk to you, ask you hundreds of questions. Usually this are happening for secondary inspection, especially if you have some kind of criminal case, like you have a DUI, you have a maybe shoplifting or something like that. They will call you for second inspection, because even though you are not inadmissible in some cases, you still have to be checked before they let you in. And since I'm mentioning DUI, for those who don't know, since 2016, I think, if I'm not mistaken, the DUI situation, if you have a DUI now, what they will do, and you have a stamp on your passport, they will automatically cancel that stamp on your passport. What will happen is when you need to travel, you will need to go and get another stamping to come back. And for you to get that stamping, they will send you for a medical check. So usually it clears out, but the problem is that it delays you there. So for example, something that let's say you would have gone and come back within 2 weeks, because of all this, you might get stuck there for 2-3 months. And then what it does to you is that if you're stuck there for 2-3 months, then your job here will have to be willing to wait on you. And many companies are very upset, and they don't want to, unless they let you work remotely. Guess what? You might lose your job. And then by the time you go there, they find out you lost your job. They don't give you the visa. So you are in a vicious circle. So if you have a DUI and you're planning to travel, please give us a call. Make sure that you're ready. If you don't call us, that at least you're ready, that you have everything ready, that you can stay there. And if the case gets delayed for 2-3 months, you're still eligible to you are able to stay. So we don't recommend also going to a third party country, because that also what it will do, you might be stuck there for some months. So be ready for all this now. A lot of things are happening. And now also, if you have 2 DUI, there's a new rule that they are trying to block people with that, although I don't know how successful they will be, but I think they will be. And we are seeing a lot of people getting stuck, by the way. There's no way out of it. People are stuck for months, and once they get stuck there, the companies are not willing to continue sponsoring them. And that's the part which gets little bit upsetting, because they had a job when they left, and then by the time the visa is processed, there's no job to support them. And that's where you see a lot of people losing their H-1Bs, etc., etc. Now, in order to come back, their only way, probably, unless they have some other visas like H-4 something to come back, they have to find another company, file what we call a quote-unquote a transfer. It's not really a transfer because you're not inside. And then once this is approved, then they need to go for stamping. Okay, unless they already given the stamp, then they can use the same stamp. So it is important now that you talk to a lawyer before you make any move, and we do a lot of those, like second opinion consultation. And a lot of people call me from overseas. Most of my my consultation are done on the phone, so it's not a problem. So call us, at least we can get a second opinion if your attorney is not very familiar what's happening. Because for us, unfortunately or fortunately, we get only the complicated cases, so we have to kind of, I get an idea what is happening in many cases. And we are seeing a lot of people, of course, stuck in India, but this is not only India. Now, for those listeners, I think from Afghanistan and Pakistan also, we are seeing a lot of those on security check, right? So everything is proper, there's no problem, anything, but they are just doing an extra security check, and that extra security check is becoming really burdensome. A lot of people are getting stuck, and those are not really even employment based. These are like green card themselves. And when they get stuck, they get upset. How come I'm stuck? My friend didn't get stuck. But you have to understand things are changing, and they're changing by the minute, by the way. Suddenly they can just decide, okay, they're going to do extensive security check, and every time you see some kind of thing happening in the world, you will see extra security check. Right now we had this fight in Baghdad going on, and this is going to affect a lot of people coming from the Middle East. So be ready for all this. The same thing was happening in India. Anytime they see an unrest or something, they will do extra security check. Even if it is a minor unrest or something, you will see that. And these are why politics really control the whole thing. So you have to be aware of this. So, Vedika, I think we have another 3-4 minutes to finish, so I'm going to kind of recap today. And Amit didn't join us today, so I'm going to take his time and talk a little bit about what is happening on the debt settlement side, because I already talked about debt settlement. I'm sorry. Let me continue on talking about what a lot of people. I'm kind of taking all the questions I get from people from frequently asked questions, and I'm answering here. And I know it's a festive season. Most of the people are traveling. I know I myself want to travel, but we have to work. But and then also stay safe on the road. I know a lot of people also are going, don't get into DUIs or things like that, because this is having an impact now. A lot of problems we're seeing on people. They had DUIs long time ago, and then this is coming back when they're traveling. Suddenly they don't know why they're being sent for a medical test, etc. This has been going on actually before Trump took power, by the way. This was a new State Department rule under Obama itself, where they will check. And the other thing we're also seeing, they're coming back strong against all those people who were with UNNJ and all those schools that were traps to students, right? We thought this would be cleared. A lot of people, everything they thought they were cleared, they came back, and then suddenly they filed something, and they are seeing all this stuff making them inadmissible. And this is a part which is a scary part, because a lot of people didn't even know. They say, oh, you let me in, now suddenly you're mentioning this, and I don't know what to say. Well, the problem is there. Dealing with that might require a waiver, might require a lot of things, and we can help you if you need help as much as we can, of course. 510-742-5887. The other thing that people are not aware of, which is something big, is U visas. U visas are for people who are victims of a crime. For example, you can see someone can be victims of a hit and run, right? And in that hit and run, someone threatened them or something like that. You might be eligible, but it's not. You don't get a U visa just because of hit and run, okay? I'm precise on that. But if anything was attached to that, for example, in a pursuit, and the person who hit you was a robber and had a gun and tried to threaten you, you might get it not because of the hit and run, but because of they tried to threaten you. So all those things are important. You need to know about it, because if you don't, then you're going to have major problems on that. And if you need help on family petitions, U visas, feel free to call us 510-742-5887. 510-742-5887. And lastly, I wanted to mention to people right now, make sure whenever you're doing an application, you don't make mistakes on them. Because if the application reaches late and you get rejected, what is going to happen to you, you're going to have a huge problem fixing it. okay? And that's what we're seeing a lot. People think, oh, it's just a matter of filling the form, send it. I had someone who came and say, oh, I don't want to spend money on that. I say, okay, that's fine, because I understand. But then he made so many mistakes that I couldn't even fix it. Now we had to send. They probably will have to go back and refix the whole case, and that's where things stand now, unfortunately. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's New Year, first show, and I've been talking a lot today, and I talked about a lot of things, what can happen this year, and a lot of things will happen. It's an election year, a lot of things happening in the world. All those are going to affect our immigration policies. So if you want to do, especially H-1Bs, etc., new cap, you're a company, hire a lawyer who understands what they're doing, because fixing your case after that is almost impossible. So let us help you. We represent a lot of companies, especially small ones, and we can actually help you, like startups. A lot of startups we represent. If you need help on that, give us a call, 510-742-5887. 510-742-5887. I wanted to let you know anything I'm telling you today. I told you today is my opinion. You should not act or refrain to act solely on the information provided. You should contact an attorney if you have any questions. So if you're hearing this show next week, it's a recorded show. It's probably going to be recorded next week, and you're going to hear the same thing. But I'll be back the week after